Welcome into Inside LAFC podcast. We are live on LAFC YouTube and live on LAFC Facebook here every Monday, 12:30 Pacific time, to speak the gospel of the black and gold. A reminder to like the video, subscribe to the LAFC channel. We encourage you to leave your comments, your questions, your concerns. And I see everyone jumping in there. Get into the comment section. Let us have it. This is not a one-man job, as you know, and I am joined by the very capable hands. Two more sets. Brian Dunseth. We were just in Seattle. We're loving Leagues Cup, and we will be with LAFC Tigres Tuesday night, and we'll preview that game here a little bit.
What's up, Tio Max? Good to see you as always, and an exciting week, man. We're just rolling out what is happening at LAFC. And I can't wait, man. These next, 5 or 6 games, this is going to be a fantastic opportunity for LAFC, not only in Leagues Cup, but obviously in the hunt with a couple of games in hand for the top spot in the Western Conference.
Indeed. A lot of meat on the bone, a lot of things ahead of us. Oh, Joe Reese. I want to say hi to Joe. Joe is in the United Kingdom, and he is spreading the word of LAFC out there with his social media and going to games and getting excited to see the games across the pond, which is a nice perspective. So great to see Joe's. Dakug asking how long it's been since my last confession. It's been a minute. It's been a minute.
Don't ask questions you don't want the answers to.
This is where it all started. Forgive us, Father Bretos, for we have sinned. I mean, maybe there's a pursuit in the church one day, but we'll leave it at that. And I see we're getting folks from all over the world, which is what we want. This is a global show on Inside LAFC podcast. We do have some breaking news from this morning, which we want to share. And that is LAFC's market. Matthew Chonier was added, and now Ryan Porteous will join the black and gold. He was bought from Watford, which is in the EFL Championship. He has a contract through 2028. He was on loan at Preston North End, which I always like to say, which is also in the championship, which is a big story here, which excites me here because there's a certain profile of a defender in the EFL Championship. So he is Scottish, which I also like. We want Scots. Scots are salt of the earth folks, straight shooters, and just overall good people. So I like it a lot. We had 6 defenders to start the season. A couple have had to leave via loan. Injuries to Maxime Chanot and Aaron Long. So this is very good news to fill up that stable. And just on the surface, with regards to filling that stable is one big thing. But you watch it. I don't know how much EFL Championship. I know you watch it. But it's a physical league. It's a tough league. It's an uncompromising league. So Ryan is going to bring that here to LAFC.
Yeah, listen, it's not just the EFL, Max. It's also the fact that you go back to the Euros, a summer ago, and he was in the starting 11 against Germany. I believe he put a really strong challenge on Ilkay Gundogan that subsequently referee reached for the back pocket. But he's got a great temperament. I think he's got the physical presence. And to your point, I'm of the humble belief that EFL Championship might be the most difficult league in the world with the consistency of matches from Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, basically throughout the entirety of the season. So you're going to get a player with a rhythm, with an understanding, a guy that's going to, not only from a leadership perspective, understand what it takes to collectively put together the right type of defensive performance. But again, when you're able to check boxes like this, I think it's important for LAFC that they have the correct environment. They have an understanding of how the shape, the identity, the system is going to look. And my hope is that when Ryan does indeed join the group and is in training, and then finally all the paperwork is clear, that the immediacy of him joining in, whether it's coming in as a substitute and locking things down, or it's from the opening whistle, that there is as much of a seamless transition as one could hope for at this stage of the season.
So we look at what is there. Eddie Segura is the number 1 center back, and Kosi Tafari's had some really good shifts. Kenny Nielsen, who will be the guest this week on Black and Gold Insider, so check that out on the LAFC social media channels. He's in the mix. I don't think he's going anywhere. I know you've been very impressed with him as well. And now Ryan Porteous, who will provide competition and eat up some games as well. Joe, who we talked about, he loved your analysis. Totally agree with that. Championship is an absolute nightmare to get out of. Very physical and demanding. Think Ryan will fit in very well. And Craig, our local Scott. Hey, lads, welcome to Ryan Porteous, a man's man for all that. So, Craig, give us your thought about Porteous because he's played for the Scottish national team. Drop it in the comment section. So, you're off to a good start, Dunny, with your analysis, as always.
Thank you.
So, Ryan Porteous is in. That's great news. And Steve Cherundolo made it pretty clear they needed reinforcements. He needed a bigger roster. He said freshness. And having guys coming from the outside, I think, is going to be exceptional. Let's take a look at the marketplace scoreboard. And I see a lot of folks joining us from Korea. So I want to say Ayung Hasayo. I know the Son Heung-min story has been reported by Tom Bogert. Nothing's official here on our side. Well, that was it. I have a Korean family. Mother-in-law here.
Over here.
Very good. So nothing is confirmed. Stay on the LAFC channels and whatever. We do know Son Heung-min bid farewell to Tottenham. He was over there, and I think that was very well received. Your thoughts about that, about a legendary player like that, spending, a decade at Tottenham, rewriting their record books, in conversation for one of their best players, if not the best player they've ever had there.
Yeah, listen, I think, Max, there's nuance to all of this conversation. And I remember watching a video with my two boys, my almost 16-year-old and my 13-and-a-half-year-old. And it was a video of Sonny and his dad when they were in Germany. And they were down in the basement of some hotel and going through this workout. And there was just this intensity and this focus for him to get back on track. And you could see this kind of insane connectivity, obviously, with his father, but his father being such a driving force in his life. To see the move to Spurs, I've been fortunate enough to spend a lot of time with Mauricio Pochettino covering the U.S. men's national team over the last year, and to hear him and Jorge Jesus and all the guys, Mickey and everybody, kind of speak so highly of Sonny. And then to have, going back and thinking about the Amazon All or Nothing. And even in my mind, I started laughing about when Hugo Lloris and Sonny were going back and forth at one another inside of that locker room.
That's just great video. Great video.
You just think about, potentially like what could be. Listen, for me, the trifecta of Dele Alli, Harry Kane, and Sonny still goes down as one of the best trifectas in the modern game. And to see the player, we can wax poetic about the player and what he's capable of doing at this stage of his career. I think that's obvious. But for me, it's the human being. For me, it's thinking about what he means to Spurs, what he means to the supporters, what he means to South Korea as a nation, what he means as captain and leader of the national team. And when you think about in the modern game, and specific to Major League Soccer, and thinking about Rodrigo de Paul, thinking about Thomas Muller, thinking about the potential of this summer transfer window for these superstars coming into Major League Soccer at this stage of their career, I love the idea. And to see how heartfelt that connectivity was with his teammates, and just see kind of the emotion and the tears. Like, you have to be something special to elicit that type of response from your teammates. And I'll be honest, Max, I've been a part of a lot of teams, some great, some horrifically poor. It's really difficult to like everybody. And so when I see that body language, for me, I'm leaning back into my playing career, and you can immediately tell he's a leader. He's a guy that you want to be best friends with off the field. And you can just tell with the way he invoked that type of emotion from that group. I think it's nothing short of spectacular. So I think without a shadow of a doubt, he goes down as one of the best players to ever put on a Spurs uniform. He will be held in such a high esteem and regard by all the supporters because he did everything right. Very rare. I can't think of one instance where he stepped out of line. And the potential of what could be, obviously, whether it's Tom Bogert or Fabrizio Romano, thinking about in these next couple of weeks, the potential, this could be an extraordinary partnership, relationship, and opportunity for all involved.
During his farewell game there, his father was in the stands, and I read this incredible story where Sonny said, I want to be elite. I want to dedicate my life to this. And he goes, if you want to do that, you got to put the work. And he said, the life that you knew was over, and it was hours and hours and hours. And it just reminded me of anyone who wanted to be not, I don't want to say a star, but wanted to dedicate themselves to the sport. You never know if you're going to be a star like Son Heung-min or Lionel Messi. But if you want to dedicate the work that you have to do, I mean, it's around the clock. And if you couple that with talent, like some players have, you could do it. But we see a lot of folks. Gold Vibe is here. Please, DD and me, come to the show. We'll talk about things when they break, but not confirmed yet, even though it's been reported by some major sources. But we'll talk about the marketplace scoreboard as is. Question from Joe Simpson. Where was it? I got the wrong question there. But Joe was asking, where do you see the two players? What positions do the two new acquisitions play? And do you think a format change will happen? The last match in Leagues Cup was as dynamic LAFC has been all season. We'll pivot to Leagues Cup here. But Porteous is a center back. Chonier is a number 8, but he can go anywhere. So two players now that we can couple there that can eat up a lot of minutes and eat up some positions as well.
Yeah, Chouanier is more of a central midfielder. I would effectively describe him as an 8. Remember, 2-time MLS All-Star, starter for the Canadian national team under Jesse Marsch. But we have also seen different managers use him and utilize him in hybrids of kind of an outside wing back. What I can promise you is that you will see, I don't know how the right way to explain this, a really professional type of performance when he's on the field. He's got a really good toolbox, meaning that left foot, right foot, really intelligent. He's not going to overawe you with like being a physical specimen and outright like burst of a pace. But what he's going to do, I think he's going to be more of like a Tillman type or a Delgado type, and that will alleviate some of the pressure and some of the heavy minutes that we've seen from the workload from that starting trifecta, right? From Igor Jesus, from Delgado, from Tillman. And also, by the way, not for nothing, an opportunity for an even more experienced player that has more understanding of the league than a Frankie Amaya or a Ryan Raposo. So I think it's brilliant from a depth perspective. I would feel, and this is just me, my humble opinion after covering him for these last 5 or 6 seasons, I would feel very comfortable if I saw Mathieu Chouanier in the starting 11 in that kind of heartbeat of the midfield for LAFC with an understanding that you're not going to see a drop off. Now, as I say that, he's still got to acclimate. He's got to understand the system, but he's smart enough because he has the international pedigree. And even though things don't work out, and just a quick reminder, and I've been a part of this situation as a player. Players sometimes do nothing wrong, and they find themselves on the outside looking in. And it could be something as stupid as a new sporting director, a new general manager, a new head coach coming in, where it's not my guy. And sometimes these things happen. And it doesn't mean that the player's not good enough. It doesn't mean that there's question marks about his personality or his physical traits or what he was doing wrong. It just happens. And it's really stupid when it happens because from a sporting director and a general manager's perspective, Max, it's like, well, that's not my guy. Like that was his guy. And there's like this separation of like church and state between player and club that happens. So for me, I love the idea. I love that John Thorrington was so ruthless with going out in immediacy of trying to get him and get the paperwork done. Porteous comes in, got a great backstory from Hibs and going to the championship and obviously with the Scotland national team. So you got a little bit of extra grit, tough tackling. He'll obviously have to assimilate and understand the referee's perspective. I think that's the only challenge for him as a center back is, and when you come in thinking about championship style tactics or tackles or maybe leniency from referees, it's going to be different. And he's going to have to acclimate as quickly as possible in understanding that maybe some of the things you could get away with over in the championship or at the international level, it's going to be looked at a little bit differently, as we've seen in Leagues Cup with the different variations of referees. So those two are fantastic. And again, similar to the conversation you and I had last Monday here on the show, try to be patient because I don't think LAFC is close to being done. And that's where I think the evolution of understanding what John Thorrington and the staff have done previously in summer transfer windows, in winter transfer windows, you got to kind of give them the benefit of the doubt and let them kind of cook. And once the paperwork's done, everything's finalized, then you got the opportunity to kind of take into account success, failure, somewhere in between, however we as fans kind of judge a summer transfer window.
Inside LAFC podcast, we're live on LAFC YouTube and live on LAFC Facebook. Like the video, hit that thumb, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to all the YouTube channels. This is the place to be, to all the social media channels with regards to that. You mentioned about the coaches, and I think it's what I love when a coach comes into a new position and doesn't say, okay, these aren't my players. He works with those players, and that's, to me, a very good sign of a coach. Son Heung-min, he's been announced for a week. Maybe we'll see him in this Chicago game, which we will discuss a little bit later when they can return to MLS. Porteous announced today. Maybe it'll take a little bit longer, but I don't know. And as to your point, LAFC is not done. If I had to venture a guess, I think 3 more players come their way, at least 2. But this was based on everything we've heard from John Thorrington and Steve Cherundolo. They really wanted to use this summer to refresh. I mean, it's going to be a very different team when everything settles here at the mid to end of August. Let's shift our focus to the Leagues Cup, which has been a barrel of fun. LAFC hanging in there. So we'll talk about the win over Pachuca in penalties, which had so many ebbs and flows. And then we'll focus on Tuesday night, huge game against Tigres. Go to LAFC.com. You want to be there. It's going to be a lot of fun against arguably the biggest team in CONCACAF and a team that LAFC has some history about. I saw a comment, and I want to start this about Nathan Ordaz because we talked about it. It was a big lesson for a young player. VAR caught him, gave him the red card. It was a deserving red card. He had to have been in a really difficult place because LAFC was up a goal. They quickly allowed a goal. It was 1-1. I think most people expected 10-man LAFC to let this slip away. And in the end, they get 2 points. Yeah. And obviously you want 3 points. And the 2 points may not be enough to keep them on track for a top 4 spot, which we'll let you know about the ramifications in the Leagues Cup. I have watched every LAFC game. I've been with this club since the beginning. That game was right at the top for me as well because of the heart, because of how a team lifted themselves to make a teammate look good. Steve Cherundolo, and when it initially happened, they had to do a quick adjustment. They bunkered down because that's just the natural thing to do when you're down a man. Then he came into the second half and he did something very different. They pressed. They found space, and they got that game to the finish line. They almost won it late with Mark Delgado. From your perspective, and I'll get to these questions, this is unbelievable how much interactions we're having, and I can understand why. But from your perspective, to do that for an hour, a man down, almost get the winner against a pretty decent Pachuca team, and then take care of things in penalties and keep your Leagues Cup campaign with a pulse, that's big time.
Yeah, listen, there's a couple things, and let's unravel it where you started with Nathan Ordaz. I said this during the broadcast, man. I almost cost the United States a spot in the Olympics in 2000 during Olympic qualifying. And there's something that happens in these kind of, I call them red mist moments, where you almost kind of, you have this out-of-body experience where you kind of lose touch with common sense. And Nathan Ordaz was getting tugged and pushed around. And this is a young, dynamic 21-year-old kid who's finding his way, and I think continuing to elevate his game week in, week out. But in the midst of this, he's got some old grizzled veterans that are prodding and poking and getting under his skin and kicking, stepping on his toes, giving him thumbs to the kidneys, constantly messing. I call it the Dunsethery, the gray area, the dark arts. I love that stuff. It was a part of my game. And you would try to manipulate the striker to see if you could evoke a reaction. Unfortunately, Nathan Ordaz, he reacted. And so there's a part of me that it's twofold. Number one, the punishment fits the crime, right? In any other world where VAR doesn't, if this was 10 years ago, Ordaz completely gets away with it. He hit it, he concealed it, the referee didn't see it. But in 2025, we got multiple cameras, we got VAR, and we've got that type of intervention. So hand in the cookie jar, he gets caught, he gets sent off. And that game, Pachuca was crumbling in real time. And this is the tough part to swallow for Nathan Ordaz, as well as his teammates, because now in a game in which it could have really could have ended 3 or 4-0. I mean, Pachuca was on the verge of complete collapse. It gives them a lifeline. And all of a sudden, now the rest of your teammates, the other 10 players, have to suffer. And that's exactly what LAFC did. They suffered. But to your point, the idea of them bunkering in, I almost think, Max, it does a disservice to LAFC and to Steve Cherundolo, because what I thought was brilliant was that Steve didn't make any adjustments. And I mean that by very easily could have gone
out forward. Didn't, yeah.
You could have gone to the bench.
Normally, coaches do. They'll pull the center forward or whatever, or they'll pull an attacking player.
Yeah, you throw in somebody, throw in a Bobasi to have a presence up top. What that said to me was that Steve Cherundolo's best group of players were on the field, and he and his coaching staff knew what they were capable of doing, trusted what they were capable of doing, and ultimately went into the halftime break in a heavy deflection. What are you going to do? I mean, Montiel, I think that ball is going wide. I think the deflection then keeps it inside the post. Thomas Asal is at full stretch. I think it's unfortunate. It's a quick reaction. Give credit to Pachuca. Get in the halftime break. But even in the start of the second half, there's mild adjustments with David Martinez and Denny Bouanga, but ultimately it's the same shape. It's the same identity, just missing Nathan Ordaz. So again, that tells me, it gives me insight as a former player that Steve really, really likes that group when they're together. So then he makes the adjustments, had great opportunities, had chances to put the game to bed, and ultimately goes into a penalty kick shootout that isn't as long and dramatic as the Mazatlan loss, but that much more fascinating because Thomas Asal, effectively the third goalkeeper, and Ken, give credit to goalkeeper coach, to the assistants, and to Steve Cherundolo, because they very easily could have gone with David Ochoa and instead gave Thomas Asal his opportunity. And I thought he was fantastic in a leadership capacity, saves, good with his feet. I thought he was strong in the air, got it amongst the trees. He was stood tall during a penalty kick shootout where he's fantastic. But to your point, the decision in that split second from Nathan Ordaz punishes the group in real time, because now they're playing probably more minutes than maybe Steve Cherundolo had predicted for that group. And that much more important, they dropped a valuable point and the ability with goal differential to potentially be a factor following the hope for 3 points against Tigres. So learning moments, the necessity of growth, punishment and understanding, because Ordaz is out, obviously, that game. Now he's out for Tigres as well. And you just hope that in these moments, there's like a weird data point in the back of his mind that he'll always reference this mistake. Because I said during the broadcast, he kind of got away with a similar action against Inter Miami. And when in the first leg, he should have been sent off. He gets away with it. So maybe in the back of his mind, subconsciously, there's that little bit of something that now is exposed that he doesn't get caught doing it again. That's kind of my hope for him.
I think this is great for Nathan. Obviously, LAFC could have 6 points with these two group games. They don't. It's frustrating. They let that get away from them. But Nathan Ordaz, he's not going to – it's not going to be he's given be shouted at or anything like that. LAFC, I think, and Steve Cherundolo's happy about this because he knows this – not happy, but he knows this is a learning experience and a situation where Nathan can get better. He'll point at that Inter Miami situation. He'll point at this and say, Nathan, you know what happened here. How do we do this differently? How do you process these moments in a better way? So I think it's very good.
Before we transition, can I bring up one important factor? And I said this during the broadcast, and I think you and I both agree on it. It would have been understandable if that group that was on the field after the red card kind of chucked it, right? Said, you know what? After the goal for Montiel, 3 or 4 minutes afterwards, guys, it's Leagues Cup. Where does it rank in the importance? We've got to focus on Western Conference. Right now, it's going to be too tough of a climb. We're going to suffer for the better part of the next 60 or so minutes. And they didn't. And to me, Max, again, speaking as a former player, that the psychology behind that performance is so much greater than I think people understand. Because again, it would have been very easy for this group. If I had any questions about this group, we would have seen a team collapse. We would have seen backpedaling. We wouldn't have seen them as aggressive and progressive in the attacking phase of play. They fought tooth and nail to earn the opportunity to go to that shootout. And they almost had a game-winning opportunity for Mark Delgado. So for me, what that says is a couple things. Number one, grit and determination. This group's got it. Number two, if there's any questions about anything surrounding Steve Cherundolo and the departure at the end of the year, this group is playing for themselves. They're playing for the coaching staff. And if I was just a flat-out LAFC fan, I would look at that game and say, they got desire. Like, they got this. Like, they have. When you're looking for something that you can't really explain, I would go back to that result against Pachuca, and I would say that's what they have. That when everything goes wrong, that they're able to fight. And this was the conversation we had on the backside of giving up the late goal against LA Galaxy, giving up the 1-0 loss against Portland. It was like, are they teetering? Are they a good enough team? For me, the way they reacted to that red card against Pachuca and the subsequent goal 4 minutes later, that to me tells me that they've got a great mentality. And I think that's important to showcase in moments like this.
And to showcase for Steve Cherundolo, what many people say he is null and void as a coach. It's not the case. He's coaching hard, and the players are still behind him. This is Inside LAFC Podcast. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Let's get to some of the comments. I know we're a little backed up here. Gold Vibe joining us today. I guarantee you that LA will be the most box office worthy team in the United States. Not sure what he's talking about. I know a lot of people joining in for Son. Not confirmed yet. It's been reported by some. We do know that he has stepped away from Tottenham, but that's the extent of it. Stay here on LAFC channels as we continue the conversation about the club, talking about the Leagues Cup. Craig Griffin answered the question about Ryan Porteous, who signed today. Ryan came through the Hibs youth system, a club that produces a lot of good players, and he was up with the best. Like you say, he's done well in the English Championship. Hibernian is maybe my favorite club in Scotland, and they have one of the great songs right up there with You'll Never Walk Alone. They sing Sunshine on Leaf by the Proclaimers. When Ryan joins us, I'm going to see if he can sing it for us on Black and Gold Insider. So stay tuned for that. It continues. Craig mentioning Ryan Gauld at the Whitecaps. We're getting a bigger Scottish contingent here. Coog, Tom Bogart's got better sources than the CIA. Yeah, I would run with that 100%. We'd love to see everyone joining us here, and we'll continue the conversation. If and when players are signed, you'll find about it here, and we will talk about it in detail. Juan Vargas, hope you get back on Twitter, man. Good that you could join us here. Gomez Jr., Bretos, the Korean scout. Yeah, we'll see what we can do, because Son Heung-min was here at LAFC and visited us in Koreatown back in 2018. It was very exciting. Hopefully that he gets to come and visit again, but we'll see. We don't know anything at this point. Joe Reese, coupled with Delgado, will have a very good center midfield with a big engine. You mentioned that, and I think that is key, because so many miles have been put on Delgado and Tillman, and Chenier can go in there and relieve either of them, and that's going to make Delgado better. That is going to make Timothy Tillman better as well. And look, I'm scrolling through. It is endless. Kay joining us. Still have my black and red sticker, LOL, from that day. LAFC fan since 2014. Great to have you on the show. We'll see. Any defenders, Joe Simpson? Does coach's departure impact what signings are made moving forward? I don't think so. I think this is a picture for LAFC, right? They're building a team now, and they're building a team for 2026. These guys are going to stay even when Steve Cherundolo leaves, and they're going to build, and whoever the new coach is going to adopt that group.
Yeah, Maxie, listen, you and I have been fortunate enough. We've worked together since 2006. I mean, we were trying to do the math. We've called like 300 some games together. And you and I have been lucky enough to have a lot of great conversations with different general managers, head coaches, sporting directors, presidents, CEOs, owners around Major League Soccer. And I think the thing that we've always come away with is you got a 6-month plan, you got a year, and you kind of got a 3-year plan. And within that conversation of those 3 ideas is somewhere how you're kind of molting together what your roster looks like. And I can even remember talking to you on the backside of the MLS Cup final in Columbus. The starting roster 2 months later was missing 5 starters from that Columbus starting 11. 2 substitutes, 2 impact substitutes. My Cal State Fullerton pass or fail math isn't great, but I think that 7 players that featured in an MLS Cup final weren't in the opening day roster for LAFC a couple of months later. So the evolution of LAFC is constant. And whether that's development, whether that's young acquisition, selling at a high price, guys like Matty Bogusz or Kike Oliveira or insert name here, finding established stars that maybe aren't stars, talking about like a Chicho Arango or a Denny Bowanga, those type of players, and then finding some of the guys that have incredible playing careers, like Chiellini, like Hugo Lloris, like Olivier Giroud. Obviously, that didn't work out the way anybody wanted it. But now the conversation around Sonny, there's so much that's always happening. And from the outside looking in, again, being a kid from Southern California, living up here in Salt Lake, as I watch LAFC, it's just a gentle reminder, because again, I'm on the outside looking in. The way that this club has built proof and concept over and over and over. And they're not flawless. Not a single club is flawless. But again, to see the proof of investment, to see the development, to see in real time the success. And if anybody would have said post Bob Bradley, hey, our next coach, can we see them effectively in 6 to 7 different finals in multiple competitions? I think everybody would check that box and sign up immediately. So for LAFC, yes, we're watching Steve Cherundolo and his coaching staff in real time kind of tick down the days until the finality and his move to whatever that looks like next for Steve Cherundolo. But in real time, the club's in really safe hands with John Thorrington and his core of leadership, because what they're doing is continuing to build what would benefit this group. And at the same time, thinking about the LAFC way, the LAFC tradition, not just the quality of the player, but the quality of the human being. And I think all of those, wherever the next manager walks in, he's certainly going to look at the roster and think of different holes that he wants to fill. But in real time, I don't think there's too many coaches in Major League Soccer that wouldn't want the roster that LAFC currently has.
Brilliant. Inside LAFC podcasts. Like the video, subscribe to the channel. Some more comments. Someone saying Sonaldo. Oh, we'll see. I look forward to Korean subtitles. We'll see. We'll see. Dakug. And let's give Thomas Hasal his moment here, because we don't know if he'll get another one. But I've talked to Thomas. I go, hey, man, are you happy here? He goes, I love Los Angeles. I go, you're not getting a lot of playing time. Sometimes you're not even playing for LAFC too. He goes, I love it. Most positive guy you could imagine. Dakug. We could call him Stonewall Hasal, but maybe it's safer to go with Brickwall Hasal. Steer clear of politics. Great one. But he's whatever the nickname is. That penalty shootout was tremendous. Pachuca took 4 penalties, so that was locked in. He knew he was going to take care of business, making 2 big saves, almost a third. So Thomas Hasal, I know the players tune in sometime. If you're tuning in, well done. I reached out to him. He was very excited. Enjoy the moment.
Yeah, I love the ish housery from Hasal. I love the same from David Ochoa. I mean, I said ish housery. I loved it from Ochoa as well, where there's like the manipulation psychologically of getting in the mind of the penalty kick taker. Because listen, you and I know Tony Meola really well, legend of U.S. soccer, and he always he's not joking around when he says this, but he's like, for goalkeepers, we're not supposed to save it. You guys are supposed to make it. It's easy for you. We're just supposed to react. We got to pick one direction. So for Thomas Hasal getting in the face and that Cheshire Cat smile, and he was like, you could see the intensity and like his eyes were opening up and fainting and putting an arm up and starting at the side and all these things. Just a gentle reminder, man. Think about the psychology of a goalkeeper being out on an island by himself, and then understanding Hugo Lloris is undisputed number 1 every single time he's available. And so for Thomas Hasal, earlier this year, played against Seattle, heavy rotation, with the idea of CONCACAF Champions Cup and second leg and all the things that were happening. He took 5 on the day, right? He get 5 goals against in his only start. You got to feel like from an individual standpoint, like, man, that sucks. Because if I had the first team in front of me, I think I could prove that I'm better than the opportunity of competing for the second or the third. So in chances like this, it's like I rub my fingers together. It's really like a feel-good moment. And it's great to see, because I think sometimes people forget during COVID and that lockdown, when the tournament MLS is back, went down to Disney in Orlando.
He was a guy.
One of the big superstars out of nowhere that we were talking about. So things kind of went sideways. Takaoka came into Vancouver. He looks for a new path less traveled. and a great moment for him, something that'll be a data point for the rest of his life.
I put on some drowning pool during the penalty kicks. Is that let the bodies hit the floor? Am I correct?
Yeah,
I don't know if I can hear that song right now.
Yeah.
So let us talk about tomorrow night, LAFC Tigres. But first, I want to talk about how LAFC can advance in the Leagues Cup. It is a tall order. They are currently in 13th out of 18 teams. They have a penalty win, a penalty shootout win, a penalty shootout loss. So it's unlikely they'll finish in the top 4. But as it stands, because of what happened last night, they are still mathematically alive. The first tiebreaker is wins in regular time. LAFC doesn't have any one of those. So if they beat Tigres, they'll have one. So any team with more than one is going to beat them in the tiebreaker. There's 2 teams of that nature. There's Seattle and Portland. So tomorrow, when you're watching Leagues Cup, you got to pull against Columbus. Hope Leon beats them. And then pull against New York City. Hope Toluca beat them. So that the game against Tigres, LAFC, will have a chance if they win, and they should score. They probably need about a +3 goal differential, that they can push that off another day. And if you can push it off another day, you have a chance to advance. You just keep going. Go from 13th to 12th and 11th. I don't think they do it, but I love the fact that they still have a shot. Hopefully they get those results earlier in the day. If Columbus or New York City, if one of them win, they're still mathematically eligible. But it'd be better if both of them lost, which is very possible. The Leagues Cup is very strange. And then LAFC come through. Before we get into the Tigres, I saw somebody, Dunny, and let's talk about this, asking Henry, what do you think the lineup will be versus Tigres? And I will mention Hugo Lloris. We'll find out soon if he's back from his green card. But even if he's back, I would tend to think Steve Cherundolo will use this for his goalkeepers that have done a really nice job to go through. We know there's no Nathan or Daz, and we know that LAFC is going to go for it. They got to rest some guys a little bit, but I would imagine maybe it was Hollingshead and Palencia, maybe Smolyakov, who's been really nice developing in this tournament and was excellent on those set pieces against Pachuca. He gets back in there somewhere. The center backs, Kenny Nielsen may find some minutes here with Tafari as well as Eddie Segura. And with Delgado and Tillman started both games. Tillman got incredible fitness, but maybe they get Frankie. Odin Holm made the bench. I don't know if you're going to put him in here. And I don't know if Chanier is available, but maybe Tillman's there. And then the front 3, it's going to be Buwanga. Martinez, I think he has a big game in him, and maybe a Bobasi. Do you see that any differently?
I mean, all definitely could be options. I think from a manager's perspective, right? First off, I think it's a great opportunity. So if you're looking at it, meaning that as the opponent is Tigres, they might do some rotation. We'll see what Pizarro ultimately likes to do. Angel Correa, since coming over from Atletico Madrid, has been extraordinary. He seems to be kind of the new Monsieur Gignac up top. I guess there's 2 ways to look at it, right? I mean, if you're Steve Cherundolo, do you look at this as an opportunity to go toe-to-toe with one of the best in the region, similarly winning that $10 million play-in game against Club America for FIFA Club World Cup? Or do you use it to kind of bleed some of the roster that you want to see the continued evolution of development? Because ultimately, like Smolyakov, like Frankie Amaya, we talked, even David Martinez at this stage of his career, you want to see these guys. I mean, we had a conversation with Brian Smetzer the other day about Seattle. He's like, hold on, guys, listen. We played Tigres, we played Monterrey, we played America, we played Leon, we played, who else did they bring up? I mean, he was going through Chivas. He went through the laundry list of teams that they played in certain competitions. And he said one of the benefits that we had in those moments was that our team gained so much valuable experience. And some of the lesser known guys, right? Like a Paul Rothrock or a Georgie Manungu or a Jackson Reagan. So is it a similar opportunity for Steve Cherundolo to give some of these young guys chances? Or does he say, you know what? I got plenty of time. I know the next game's on the road at Chicago. We're going to have a 4-day stretch. Why don't we go all out, see what the first 45-minute gives us? Let's see if we got an opportunity, get a 1-goal lead, two-goal lead at halftime. Then we let the cards fall as they may, and ultimately cause some panic for Tigres. So I come from the background in my mindset as a player like, I want to go punch you in the face. Like, I want to see what you're made of. Like, me against you, mano a mano. Like, I'm going to do everything in my power to try to win this game. So the mindset against one of the regional superpowers, similar to what we saw against America, my hope is that you see the strongest possible starting 11. And then whatever the game gives you, then you have an idea, a preset of how you're going to manage that. But ultimately, I would love to see LAFC take another win off one of the big heavyweights in our region.
Tigres is such an amazing team, and watching them in this tournament, they're the only Liga MX team to have 2 wins, which could benefit LAFC. Well, let's preview that in a little bit. But a reminder to like the video, subscribe to the channel. Let's read some of these comments. UB, I really want Dolo to leave on a high note. He did a lot for us. Yes, he has trophies, finals, a cavalcade of them nonstop. So yes, and Steve wants to finish on a high note because Steve's coaching career is going to be going like this. He's going to Germany. He could come back to MLS. He's already said he's looking forward to that. He says he would like to coach in Liga MX. He's been mentioned for the U.S. national team. He is very good. Mauro Perez Cavazos on Facebook. Ready for Club Tigres? Yeah, we're ready. We're going to preview that here momentarily. Woo Young Choi, I'm already imagining a match against Miami where Messi is already in the picture. I'm so happy. Glad to have you there. David Day, don't we already have a Korean language chant Tigers supporters group? Tigers supporters group have been fantastic. They were a big part about the 2018 visit back then. We will see. People mentioning to bring Bobby Lee, the comedian. Love it. He's hilarious. So we will continue. Hasal, player of the match from Jose Reyes and Juan Vargas. Max Guapos, what's your go-to Korean barbecue spot? Yang Mani, order the good cut of meat. It's on, I think, I don't forget what street, but Yang Mani, Yangmani. So there you go. Everyone's happy to see Juan. Let's get into the preview, and I'll get back here. I know Ruben mentioning Ordaz won't be in the 11. Yeah, he's going to miss this game for sure. And we don't want to play with 10 players, Henry. Certainly want to play 11. And LAFC's look like they could win. So Tigres, they beat the Houston Dynamo 4-1. They beat San Diego FC 2-1. This game's tomorrow night. Get your tickets. Go out there. Go to LAFC.com. Maybe get a good deal. Whatever it is, it's going to be electric. And remember, Tigres is the team that beat LAFC in the 2020 CONCACAF Champions Cup final when they condensed it in Orlando. LAFC was winning. Tigres ended up winning. The Campeones Cup of 2023, where Denny Bouanga scored. It was taken away because the Tigres players complained to who's the Canadian referee? The Canadian, well, I'll remember his name. And then the ball was moving, which it was, and they took it back, but it was very, very slight and petty.
Suspect. It was suspect, Max.
It was suspect. They should have won that game, and then Tigres win it in penalty kicks. So LAFC owes Tigres 1 or 2. But this could be the best team. They're 2 wins out of 2 in their Liga MX tournament, 2 wins out of 2 in Leagues Cup. They spent $10 million on Correa, Angel Correa, who is a huge talent and very surprising he would leave Atletico Madrid to come to Liga MX. You mentioned Andre Pierre Gignac. He's a bench player, but I think he's going to start this game because he has been on the bench. I think Tigres is going to rotate. Diego Lainez, the young starlet, he has been phenomenal. Osiel Herrera, who's half Cuban, has been really good. And Juan Bruneta. I mean, so many good players. But I think Correa sits. He has 4 goals. I think he sits. Even though he sits, they're so deep. They're maybe the deepest team. They're exceptional. You've seen Tigres play. LAFC got to go for it. They got to win. They got to probably win by a couple goals to have any hope, and then we'll see what happens. But even if they don't advance to the top 4, we've seen LAFC develop a partnership, a rivalry with Club America. This is an opportunity to do the same with Tigres, and only good things will come of that.
Yeah, listen, I think the way that LAFC is viewed by Liga MX teams is that they're one of the heavyweights of Major League Soccer, without a shadow of a doubt. To your point about significant spend, Tigres is always a big player in the market. I mean, they've been trying to mimic what they've done with Gignac since 2014, which is find players in the prime of their career over in Europe and convince them to move to Monterrey to play for Tigres. And to see, from Tuca Ferretti, still head scratcher for Paunovic, and now for Guido Pizarro, a guy who effectively walks off the field and onto the sideline in a time of need for Tigres. It's a fantastic team. I mean, it's a team that's spending roughly between $20 and $40 million, depending upon the entirety of both summer and winter transfer windows per year. So to your conversation about depth, absolutely. Effectively, every position is an established international or once established international, and a team that's going to cause you a ton of problems, both with and without the ball. I think what we had talked to Steve Cherundolo pre and post of that Club America game when you and I covered it for the opportunity to play in the FIFA Club World Cup and win that $10 million. He said something that was really fascinating. He said something to the effect of, guys, listen, Club America, they're gonna punish you, right? So how, as a collective unit, do you stay as tight, condensed as possible? They want to spread the field as wide open as possible. They want to get you in isolated moments in effectively these 10-yard boxes. And how can they force you to chase the game? Because if they can expand your defensive setup, then they can start to play through you, movement off the ball, tactics 101. So you got to match the intensity. You got to understand the physicality. And when I say match the intensity, it's speed, it's rhythm, it's all of these things. But you got to also match the physicality, because like we saw last night in Seattle, there's a manipulation of the opponent and a manipulation of the referee. That's non-negotiable. That's going to happen. So in a similar fate of what we saw Nathan Ordaz the other night against Pachuca, how do we see maturity within performances, especially for these younger players? Because with David Martinez, for example, don't think for a minute they're not going to kick the living ish out of him from the opening whistle and topple him on a few occasions. Denny Bouanga has shown the temperament that he can deal with those type of challenges. So little things like that, even going back to, opportunities, going back to the red card against LA Galaxy in those moments, you're going to see some fire point moments. And then ultimately, how does this group for LAFC continue to play within the system and the identity that they want to play, right? The LAFC way, while understanding their own strengths and weaknesses compared to what Tigres is willing and capable of doing. So it's a massive challenge, but not lost on them. And I think this is the game where Steve Cherundolo and his coaching staff will say, hold on a second, let's lean into the experience that Club America was. Let's try to take advantage of that. Let's lean into the experience of what Inter Miami was. Let's lean into that. And I think all those little data points are going to be hugely beneficial tomorrow night at BMO Stadium.
What a great year with all these games where you get to play Messi and Inter Miami and Club America and Flamengo and Chelsea and now Tigres. This is what we signed up for. And I know we want more, but this is pretty good. We lived a charmed life covering this team. We're going to wrap it up. A reminder, Tuesday night, LAFC Tigres. Get out to BMO Stadium. You'll enjoy it. It's going to be a wonderful time. There's a lot of good energy around the club right now, so soak it in. Do want to mention it'll be back to the MLS play. LAFC travels to Chicago. Dunny and I are calling that game too. I don't know what we did, but we're in the good graces, and maybe some of these new players will join. Stick here with the LAFC channels. We will talk some more about the marketplace. It's all happening. Some crazy stuff today with Georgi Mihalovic going to Toronto FC. It's pretty interesting because Josh Gross, who writes for the Daily News and a lot of other publications, he tweeted, that's good for LAFC because Mihalovic has been a killer against the black and gold. So now he's in the Eastern Conference. Ruben, I know that video with Son is circulating. My son is in there too. If you can see little Maxi, who got a photo with him. Sir Crispy, Sergi versus Lainez is going to be fun. Absolutely. 100%. Ruben, the ball was moving. Suspicious. It was Giorgio. Now he owns the club. Giorgio put that ball down. It was Drew Fisher was the referee, was the name that I was remembering. Some good recommendations for Korean barbecue. I don't know why people are giving Korean barbecue recommendations. We're talking Leagues Cup here, folks. But anyway. So, again, a lot of news. More. We'll see what's confirmed. Stick with the LAFC social media channels. We're here. We're here every Monday. Dunny, we'll see you Tuesday night at BMO Stadium for a Titanic tilt.
Can't wait, my man.
If I didn't get to your questions, leave it on the YouTube page. We will answer it next week, and we'll see what the 11 looks like. But thank you for joining us again for Inside LAFC Podcast. We'll see you next Monday. Until then, let's go black and gold.